Also, side note, I completely thought I was going to do a pantry tour today. Surprise! We have lice. I've stuck some eggs in a nest that I've marked 13. Some will inevitably be broken, I'm sure. But my flock is old. A lot of these hens are old hens, maybe 5 or 6 years old. So I know over the winter I'm gonna lose a whole bunch of my old girls. There's some of them that are just looking rough. And I need to replace them. I don't know if you just heard those hens or not, but when a hen is broody, they get a specific clicky sound. That there. My dad calls them clucks, because that's the sound they make when they're broody. They're mean, and they're broody. Chickens' eggs take 21 days to hatch. So once I notice a broody hen is sitting on that nest, I'm going to go inside and I'm going to mark on my calendar 21 days from today's date. Sometimes I've noticed when hatching the eggs naturally under a chicken, they start to hatch sooner than they would in an incubator. So I'm going to know a couple days beforehand to start looking, because I have to isolate the hen and chicks when they hatch. My hens are mean. Maybe it's all hens, but those big red hens will straight up eat a baby chick in 5 seconds flat. So I have to isolate them until they're old enough to somewhat fend for themselves. I had an incubator, and it's kind of a funny story. I ran that thing. If it had wheels, I would have ran the wheels off of it. I literally ran that thing until it probably almost burned down my house. It melted. And Brian, I'm more or less grounded from owning an incubator for the unforeseeable future. So I'm making use of my banny hens. They're very broody and they're good little mothers. I've started thinking over the summer I kind of want to go a different direction with my flock. I want to add some color, kind of researching different breeds, what I want. I know I want different egg colors. I want big brown eggs, but I also think I want to mix up and get some green egg layers and some blue egg layers and do a few more fun things like that. Also, fertile eggs, of course you need a rooster. Fertile eggs, if you're wanting to incubate them or have a hen set on them, they will be good as long as they haven't been refrigerated or washed. You want to keep that natural bloom intact, so no washing the eggs. They'll be good setting out at room temperature for up to a week. I don't push it past 5 days. 5 days, and that's all I'm going to do for trying to incubate eggs to actually hatch them. The potential lucky fathers. This old guy, he's probably 6 years old too, but man, he's such a good rooster. He's so nice. He's molting now, but he's beautiful and big, and he's a sweet rooster. This little lowrider. He's my favorite rooster, I think. He's so squatty. But he might be the father of some of the smaller banny eggs. Who knows? Maybe he gets a chance, but might not be likely. And then here's this lovely guy, another little banny. It's very pretty. Rainbow of colors. Then we have this guy, who I think is gorgeous. He's molting too. He's rose combed. He's an Easter egger. So from my understanding, if my big brown egg layers were to, if one of the eggs were to hatch with him as the father, they might have an olive color, be an olive color. I think I might have actually just potentially noticed a problem here. Let's give him a minute and see if he keeps it up. Yep. He might have mites. I've never had mites in my flock. But I'm thinking I probably need to take a closer look at the bases of his feathers and see if I see any mites. And if I do, I think I'll probably try some Diatomaceous Earth first. I think that that's maybe a good, more natural way of dealing with mites. And put some in a tub and let them dust bathe in it. Probably have to take quite a bit so my whole flock can dust bathe in it. So I have a lot of chickens. But if that's the case, then that's probably what I'm going to try first. See if that helps. Definitely see some creepy crawlies. I don't know if you can see that right above my thumb, crawling towards my thumb. I need to research lice or mites. It didn't take long. Somebody wants to be a mama. The reason I wore gloves is because even though it's non-toxic, it's drying. That's the way that it works. It dries things out. So I didn't really want it to dry out my hands or my skin. I wore a mask because all of the little dust particles, I really don't want to inhale any dust particles. So that's why I wore a mask and gloves. I chose to medicate the flock with Diatomaceous Earth because I feel like it's the best non-toxic route to go in this situation. I know a lot of people here locally especially use 7 Dust for this particular problem, but I'm not at that point yet. I'm going to try as many non-toxic solutions as I can before I go with something like 7 Dust. Diatomaceous Earth, I use it for a lot of things. It's a pretty good thing to keep on hand. In this instance, they can eat it and it will help eradicate intestinal parasites. They're going to dust bathe in it and hopefully get rid of what I think is lice. I think that we might have a poultry lice. I know these things aren't contagious. They can't be passed from chickens to humans, but I still researched it. I still Googled it to make sure that that wasn't a potential problem for us. I think this is going to work. What I'm going to do is tonight I'm going to come out in their coop when they go to roost, and my Diatomaceous Earth came with this cool duster, and as they're roosting I'm going to come in and dust individually all of my chickens. I have 40 chickens, so this is kind of a big deal to have to deal with, but I want to do it right. I'm going to put a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar into their water, hopefully to keep their immune system up. I don't think this is an issue we've had for a while. I think I would have noticed, but I also haven't been as proactive at keeping this problem from happening. I haven't introduced any new chickens lately, but I also haven't spread Diatomaceous Earth in their coop and in their run like I have previously in the past. Usually I like to do it at least twice a year. In the fall and then in the spring is a good time to do it. just to try to keep this from happening. I'm afraid a couple of my roosters kind of look like, when I went around looking at all of the birds individually, looked like they might have some scaly leg mites. Their scales on their legs look a little bit, it's hard to explain. They look overgrown. Their legs look a little bit different than what they should. And there's a mite called scaly leg mite that actually gets up underneath those scales on their legs, and their droppings and stuff cause the scales to kind of lift. I'm afraid that that might be happening, so I'm going to go ahead and just check out everybody's legs individually tonight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up some Epsom salt and some dish soap, and I'm going to wash their legs and then cover them with Vaseline. And all of this stuff, just their legs with Vaseline. On all of these treatments, the Diatomaceous Earth, not scattering it, but I am going to keep a dust bath with Diatomaceous Earth in it. But I'm going to treat the actual birds again next week for both the scaly leg mites and the lice with Diatomaceous Earth and Vaseline, just Vaseline. Next week, I think just Vaseline. I'll decide then. But next week and then the following week. So I need to write that in my calendar. I can't forget to do that. And then I think we'll reassess and hopefully we'll be past this. I'm hoping. If this doesn't work the way that I'm hoping it will, I will try another option. I'm not going to let my birds' health potentially go downhill. I'm not going to put them at risk more than that they already are. I love my birds. They're some of my favorite little creatures on earth. So I'm going to do the best that I can to take care of them and get rid of this problem. If you're treating for lice or mites, don't forget to treat the nesting boxes. Pull out the old hay, burn it, add a little bit of Diatomaceous Earth in there with the new hay. I don't think I'm going to take my camera in tonight with me. I don't think there will be enough light, so there's probably really no use in it. But what I'm going to do is, I think it's going to be easiest for me at night. I'm going to dust under their wings. Would y'all hush? Rude. You're being rude. Excuse them. They're very rude. Anyways, I'm going to dust under their wings, on their backs, around their vents, but I'm also going to fluff with my fingers so I can get the dust in there really good. I think that's how I'm going to handle it tonight. We'll see how it goes. Might be a long process, but oh gosh, that big boy. Get you a pedicure. Put that soap in it. You won't shut it in his eyes. Alright, Race. Switch it around some. Okay, big boy.
Dangerous task.
Get back, Dougie. Get back, Dougie. Okay. They're not bad. Back to wanting to go a different direction with my flock. My flock is old. All of my hens are old. Most of them. I probably have 10 or 12 younger hens. Less than 2 years old. But the majority of my flock is 5 or 6 years old. The problem with having an old flock, having old chickens in general, is that they're more susceptible to things like parasites, illnesses, viruses, bacteria. They're just more susceptible, so things like this are more apt to happen. Coupled with the fact that I am feeding birds that are probably not laying like a younger hen would, which has never been a real issue to me because it's I know them on a personal level, so it's really hard for me to cull old hens and roosters. But that is part of the reasoning why a lot of people do. And that's an okay reason.